Welcome to MoonDaze Monday here on New Paradigm Healing Academy Facebook group. Normally I'm outside with my phone. Today, because the astrology was so spot on with what occurred here in Hawaii this weekend, I thought it might be, and also it's raining outside just a little. So I am indoors today, and I wanted to do a screen share experiment today to see if I can show and not just tell. So, welcome to New Paradigm Healing Academy Facebook group. I am Michelle Jericho Poplar of Queen Mabsy LLC. I am an Akashic astrologer. And what that looks like is I look into the Akashic records when I read your birth chart, and I see where you've been and where you're going. We look at your purpose and what you're here to heal and how you're here to heal. Because generally, if anyone finds this particular Facebook group, or you find this video on a YouTube, chances are you might be an empath. What is an empath? Well, empaths feel feelings. We feel feelings very strongly, and memory lies in water. Water holds memory, information. And the human body is made up of quite a bit of water. Don't quote me on the percentage, but it's high up there. Our body is fluid as well as dense. Not gonna shit on myself. Anyway, yeah. So my solar return is on March 20th, and we had a massive flood overnight, after we had the new moon in Pisces and the switch over, and we also had Mercury on the 19th into the 20th in Pisces, stationing direct. And a lot of activity in Pisces. And everyone is, I'm getting messages. So, if you're messaging me right now, just come on over here. Let's have a talk. Shift is getting real, and shift is shifting. I feel like I've been on a timeline that is actually exactly where I am supposed to be, even though the things that are occurring for me seem quite unpreferable. One might think, okay, broken leg, nah, that's not cool. Seeing whole communities on the island that I live on and across the islands that I live on devastated by so much water. As an astrologer, remembering months ago telling people, hey, you might want to buy flood insurance just in case, when I was looking ahead at these times. I don't want to buy into the law of attraction or the manifesting that reality. Because if we did, then we're just going to feel just all kinds of way. I'm just going to spray some of my friend's Zen room spray. It says my friend Shoko. I will post the link to this in my YouTube show notes and in the notes below. Yes. I needed that. Being highly sensitive, and the day of the flood being my solar return, which is also the zodiacal new year and the spring equinox. So consider that World Astrology Day. So if I question anything about why I show up and I do this, all those questions went out the window when I found that out. Okay, that makes sense. Let the airplane carry your troubles away. I gotta be true and honest and honor the feeling of the sadness. And I encourage everyone to allow yourself, don't suppress and repress and deny the sadness, but take action to change the things that you don't prefer. You see something, you see people suffering, and, well, if you have the ability to help. This is Aries season. We have begun the Aries cycle, and with Neptune and Saturn here at the beginning degrees of Aries, after they've gone through Pisces, there has been already quite a lot of water leading up to this time. It's not just this one time. There has been quite a lot of solar activity, as in when the sun has like a little spitooey, it spits plasma at the earth, and that, takes our little magnetic field and it gets blasted, and it causes more weather episodes, because one thing occurs with the other. So this is naturally unusual. But one way we can be more prepared for these shifts of Gaia is to pay attention to the space weather. So we do have another flare that I heard of that might be arriving around the 26th or 28th. So, if you know anybody who still lives near flood zones and flood areas, it's just a good idea for them to, if they weren't affected, to take precautions. And that's that. The only thing we can do is respond rather than react. And I feel it's been admirable, how people have been responding and helping out. Me with I can't really walk right now, but trying to help in other ways with, sending out communications and showing up here to basically see what I can do to help in a way of not being like, hey, I told you so, because that's not true. But when there's a lot of planets in a water sign, a new moon, after us witnessing a lunar eclipse over the islands of Hawaii on March 3rd, these things lead to a collective belief of the collective unconscious believing that something's going to go down. And that collective belief of about something going down, that makes it more true. Not saying that it's our fault. This didn't happen because we intended it. It is just the timeline that we are on, and we are always on the best and right timeline because it's where we're at. This is where God, Source, Universe, Creator, High Self has put us for a lesson. Astrology just is a tool for measuring the program or the matrix that of the timeline that we be in. And it tends to make things in my mind have a purpose. It gives purpose and meaning to it, and in hindsight, it directs us to what to do with these shifts and changes. A navigational point of where we're going. The north node of the moon, that is the collective unconscious, that is the purpose, the driving force. That's what's conjunct the lunar eclipse in Pisces on March 3rd at 8 degrees Pisces. This was showing us what decisions are you going to make about your feelings, about how you manage your feelings. Mercury going direct, miscommunications, failure of technology, Saturn and Neptune in the early degrees of Aries already have gone through Pisces and into Aries, but at Pisces, Neptune sat. So we have to remember that Saturn and Neptune just concluded their time in Pisces. Neptune was in Pisces for 14 years. Saturn was there for about 3 years. And Neptune stayed at 29 degrees Pisces for quite a while at the end of the year. And then Saturn followed. And then they conjuncted, as in they came together at 0 degrees Aries, which is the world point, which is the spring equinox point. That was a seed or a note being planted. Then, on the 19th, we had the new moon in Pisces at 28 degrees. The new moon in Pisces. Pisces is water. All of this is water. Water, water, water. Then we have the spring equinox and Mercury stationing direct on the same day, and the north node of the moon. That's just a lot of energy on a portal point between the Pisces and Aries cusp, which is why when I looked ahead, I said, just buy flood insurance. And then, have your evacuation plan. Because we can't expect that water will always be contained. Historically. We can, as humans, work with the elements and radically accept that we are not more powerful than the Aina. our egos are oh, where I am. Okay, there I am. Our egos have the message clearly is that, you know, our egos have outgrown the capacity of the Aina. And the message is Saturn and Neptune, let's restructure the way we contain our water. 0 degrees Aries. 0 degrees Aries. 0 degrees Aries is the self. How we take care of the self, the body. How do we contain the body of water? How do we take right action? Aries means action to contain bodies of water. And there is a nice trine aspect developing with Saturn at 5 degrees Pisces and Pluto at 5 degrees Aquarius. Aquarius is the community, the people. Pluto is transformation through ordeals. Challenges bulldozing the old so that the new may come forward and be built again. Saturn represents structure, and he's a hard teacher. He also came down and taught the people how to cultivate the land, how to work with the land. The Aries world point, Saturn and Neptune conjunct there, well, that hasn't happened apparently, either 6,000 or 4,000 years. I hear different things, but it's been a long time since those two planets have conjuncted at 0 degrees Aries, meaning our high self, our community, our God source creator was saying, hey, what about Divinity Informed? How about creating the right containers for Divinity Informed? What does that look like? Now we have the opportunity with Neptune going through Aries to restructure, and Saturn together, restructure those dreams. With Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto's going to take about 20 years to go through Aquarius. Transformation of the collective and how the people work together. When Pluto has been in Aquarius in this place in the past, we've had the American and French revolutions where new governments were formed, new paradigms were formed. Subsequently, we are here in New Paradigm Healing Academy because, well, some enlightened people getting together, chatting about, wouldn't it be nice if we had peace and love, right? If we collectively shift, first through doing the practice and realizing that no matter what is happening on the external, as long as we be here now, despite what I say about the astrology, and don't catastrophize about what's coming and what's been, but being here present now, using the astrology is just a tool to like set your calendar. So when stuff happens, you're like, oh, good thing I put that on my calendar. Because we still agree to third density reality, where we have time, Saturn, and space to work with. That's the joy of the third density, that we get to experience things. And that is just how it is. So I'm still trying to figure out how to share my screen. Apologies, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about, maybe put these in when I edit for YouTube. So, just saying, if we go back in time, and I'm going to talk about March 19th, over the weekend, the moon crossed over the sun, which is a new moon, and what happened was an activation to Lilith and Scorpio, which activated everybody's fear programs. And when fear programs, false evidence appearing real, are activated with enough people, it's almost like that reality becomes more true. Not saying that we did it, but also what is reality. There was a trine to Pluto in Aquarius, so this was meant for the community to learn how to come together. The eclipse, as I said before, there was an opposition to the South Node with the Mercury, and I haven't even mentioned Mars in Pisces, okay? I haven't even gotten to that. Mars is in Pisces, Venus is in Aries too. I'm forgetting about the divine masculine and feminine. We just have a lot of planets in one sector of the chart, activating a connection to Pluto, which is transformation. So, connected to the planets Neptune, which is rules storms at sea. That is just what happened. So, when I look at the chart for the actual flood tsunami announcement, which was March 20th, 8 a.m., the ascendant, these planets, were all in the 12th house. The 12th house in astrology is the deepest house. It's ruled by Pisces, which is a water sign, and also rules things like catastrophe and hospitals and things. So looking at the announcement time, that's pretty striking that the stellium planets in Aries sat in the 12th house. And yet, the stellium that is in Pisces, which includes Pallas Athena, which is the hero teacher goddess. We have Mars, the North Node, Mercury, the asteroid Vesta, which is where we invest, and we had the lunar eclipse and recent solar eclipse also in the 11th house, which rules community, the community. So this, as horrible as it is, how is this for us? It is activating the community. There is a trine to Jupiter, which is in Cancer, which is another water sign. Jupiter went direct in Cancer. And it went direct in Cancer on March 10th in the 3rd house of this chart. The 3rd house rules communications and neighbors helping neighbors. There's also the South Node of the fun house, the Virgos, the old Virgo South Node, the old structures, these old structures that were known for fun, tourism. Haleiwa was known as, it is a tourist destination, and it was devastated. So let's move on. Just saying, looking at the chart, this quite literally points to flood, like in astrology terms. So, and check on the YouTube video later. I will edit this in. Now, let's move ahead, shall we? because now we are here today, Moon Day, the 23rd of March. How do we respond from here? What is the best response from here? Well, what we can do is stay grounded and present and take aligned action. Take aligned action where and when we can. And hold a vibration of hope. Jupiter direct in Cancer. Hope for nurturing, hope for new ideas and new innovations. You have a good idea, do it. Don't hesitate, take action, help people. This is what it's all about. This is where the division of these communities, the politics or anything like that, all that's going to be put aside, because everyone is going to be awakened to their one shared value. One thing that is really desperately needed up there on the North Shore is water. Water, with all of the water sign. So if there, I will also post in the show notes reputable places where you can donate funds to people who are boots on the ground getting water out there. Because ironically too, we also had over the weekend World Water Day, International World Water Day. You can't get more literal than that. So take aligned actions, help your neighbors, and set aside any squabbles or disagreements when it comes to politics, because those things are petty right now. As of today, Monday, we have the moon in Gemini. Everyone is feeling various different ideas for how they can show up. There's a lot of communications happening. Now that Mercury is direct, at least, there will be more open lines of communication. We're still in the shadow period, so be sure to use your discernment when donating to any affected community members here in Hawaii or elsewhere, because from the Lahaina events, there were, with the Neptune and Pisces, there were a lot of scammers who were able to scam people. So exercise discernment. Please only go with reputable organizations that from reliable sources. Anybody who's mentally recovering from the flood, if they're in a hotel or something, just be present for them, because they're going to be having some feels. All right, so moving on to Tuesday, the moon moves into Cancer on Wednesday and will be meeting up with Jupiter. So hopefully we will be getting some new information or hopeful expansions on more financial assistance for people in their homes. Cancer rules home, mothers, and Jupiter is fortune, luck, and joy. So hopefully there'll be some good joyous announcement then for families. Then moving on into Thursday and Friday, the moon will move into Leo, and there will be a fire trine being formed, which is a fluid energy. People will be angry. People will be angry, or hopefully instead of being angry, they will take action. So if you feel the anger, if you know people who are who are feeling that anger, turn that anger into action. Don't just get mad about it. Do something. work with it. Then that energy can be transmuted. The fear can be dissipated with the action. The transformation. The moon will oppose Pluto. So the people will gather. The trine from Pluto at 5 degrees to Saturn at 5 degrees is new ideas, new thoughts about new infrastructure when it comes to the water. One opportunity that will come out of so much devastation is creating new infrastructure for the containers of water that are more sustainable, based off indigenous wisdom that used to work before there was overdevelopment. So this forms what we call a kite in astrology. A kite actually looks like a little flying kite when there's two opposing bodies, a grand trine and a minor trine together. They create this geometry that literally uplifts, catches the energy and takes it somewhere. So this moon in Leo on Friday will ignite this transformation process. So if you have people around you who are like raw about the situation, point them to a resource, a place, Leo, that you know that is something that they can do, where we can all come together and take action to help the people in need. But the most important thing, and very simple, is to get water, drinkable water, and food, and then supplies to these people who need it immediately. All right, so moving on to Saturday. The trine will break up, and then Jupiter is going to be in opposite of the mathematical point, the part of fortune, in Capricorn. So the Capricorn rules banks and government, and the part of fortune is a fortune, luck. So when that's opposed to Jupiter, there's going to be some opposition or push-pull between where's the money going to come from? Oh, here's how expensive it is. And let's see. So there might be a little push-pull with that. A little debate about that happening on Saturday. And then resolution on Sunday. The moon is going to move into Virgo. And that's the Virgo is very sensible. So all the hot heads are going to cool down. The Virgos are going to have the structures and the plan and the spreadsheets of how this is going to work. The planet Uranus, which I haven't even touched on yet, will then be in a positive trine to the part of fortune. Uranus in Taurus rules, Taurus rules fixed Earth. The Earth was not fixed. It was very disrupted by all this water. The fixed Earth was disrupted by the water. That's so Uranus and Taurus. It was quick and unexpected. That's Uranus and Taurus. That's a trine, however, to the part of fortune, which means there's going to be some unexpected fortune coming out. Maybe some unexpected funds coming from some government organization. Let's hope. We're going to hope because Jupiter is direct. Good to hope. And that minor trine still remains between the fate point, which is vertex in Sagittarius, next to the fear point, Lilith, or false evidence appearing real. What if it's not going to work out? What if the integrity of these organizations isn't there? That fear program is going to be there. However, trine to the sun in Aries, 9 degrees, people will still be taking aligned action and staying organized and speaking truth to power. holding power accountable. Because Pluto in Aquarius is not going to let power over the new paradigm occur. It sometimes takes something this huge for things to change. The other thing that I didn't even touch on, that I'm reminding myself about, the visiting interstellar object 3i Atlas overnight, March 18th into 19th, actually flew by the planet Jupiter. And so that's another instance of activation of the planet Jupiter in Cancer. So there was just a lot going on in our soul system. Things were shifting. Timelines are jumping. The things that no longer served us are washed away. When you see people lose everything, it hurts. For an empath, you put yourself in their shoes. You imagine yourself being in their shoes. And it's sad. So I'm sad. And I honor that sadness. But what it is also too, I call this a humbling, because how grateful am I to have a roof over my head still, the dry floor. And what I have only here is a voice to speak and a platform to speak on these things. And I don't want to spiritually bypass a situation. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna process it, and I process these feelings of, imagining myself in those situations without really being able to stop myself so much. It used to be way more challenging. Now with, doing the practice, it's closing the gap on the extension of feeling those feelings. And that's why it's a practice, because, the practice teaches you how to challenge, or how to see, manage your feelings when coming into events that you don't prefer. Where do I get this from? Who does it belong to, and how is it for me? Where do we get this from? Where do we get the weather from? We get it from the elements. How is it for us? Well, water is just part of nature, and who does it belong to? It belongs to us. Our reality ultimately is ours. So whatever timeline we be on, it is where it is perfect and divine, and where we are supposed to be, because it is just where we be. Being unaccepting of where we be is where we create resistance. And when we create resistance, there is persistence of the things that we do not prefer. So radical acceptance of what is, getting curious, and taking aligned action. is the only way to move forward through the things that we don't prefer. And increasingly, we might be feeling that compassion fatigue threshold. Come to a place of neutrality and take aligned action. That's the way to shift the energy and the paradigm. Do not lower your vibration to meet suffering where it's at. You can allow the suffering to be there, but just keep that vibration. Lift them up. First, we lift ourselves up, and we lift everyone up with us. And that's how we usher in new paradigm, ways of being. And I'm pleased and witnessing what I'm seeing, the people showing up to help people, communities coming together. That is raising the vibration, even though that's the lotus rising from the murky waters. And yeah, kind of went on a while. So sorry about not having the screen share for this Facebook Live. I will be putting in the slides in my edit for YouTube. I am kind of floored. You know, these things, I look ahead at these times. I look at the astrology, and I look at it and I say, wow, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water happening around my birthday period, and that sure likes that's going to be something. The thing is that we don't know until we know, and then not to create these things, but we're creating reprogramming of our human nervous system. Pisces rules the nervous system. We just finished that. And Aries rules the body. So now that we're in Aries season, take care of our bodies. The stellium of planets that is in Pisces with Venus in Aries, she is basically telling us to value our body and take care of it. Mars in Pisces, he's like getting ready to come home to Aries and get some stuff done. But right now he's taking some time. The ego, Aries, Mars rules Aries. So Mars in Pisces is taking some time to really feel his feelings. So the small self, or Mars, is here in Pisces still to feel the feelings. And when he joins him and Mercury, the mind, join the stellium of planets in Aries, there will be 8 bodies in Aries, which is Venus, Chiron, the Sun, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Mercury. It is really gonna be body focused. Maintain your health, maintain your body, maintain your aligned actions, maintain your hope. Talk to your moms, because Jupiter's in Cancer, and prepare yourself for April when Uranus moves into Gemini, because things are gonna get curious and interesting from there. Pluto is trine Saturn at 5 degrees. That's new ideas for transformation and new structures. have hope that things are gonna change, and hold the alignment and the vibration that things will change for the better, good and gooder, because we're holding that vibration and putting it out there and taking the right aligned actions to make it so. We can't just sit at home and just hope that it just happens. Now do something. Go do something. We will all be doing what we can, and what, even if it's a little bit, even if it's just sharing out a funding page, that's doing something, and that's beautiful. And hold the space for love and unity and transformation that is ushering in the new paradigm. Things are gonna get different, and we can choose to perceive that things are indeed getting better. Because why? No matter where we're at, we're on the right timeline. All right, that is all for MoonDaze Monday. I will be seeing you all next MoonDaze. And let's see. There it is. I love you all. Aloha.
Celebrate the spring equinox today and Queen Mabsy's birthday. Woo!
And World Astrology Day.
Yeah!
Yeah! And the Zodiacal New Year.
Yeah!
Woo! And the rainiest day that we will hopefully have this year and not have again.
Yes. But we need the rain. We need the rain.
We need it.
For our practice tonight, because as you lay here, we reflect on the winter that has just passed. Laying down within it as it allowed us to sow some seeds that are now grounded and rooted within our bodies. And so just take a few moments here to reflect on the last few months. Tune in if anything stood out to you that is wanting to be planted and rooted a little bit deeper within you. That feels like it's worth nurturing as we move into spring. So bring those to your mind's eye, any seeds that are calling to be planted tonight. And as you see them, we'll use this breath to bury them deep within the body so that you can nurture them